Hello, everyone, it's part 2. Are you ready to watch? Enjoy this show. Please support me. I don't know if I'm ready for all of this yet, but I have to keep going. The last few days have been a blur, and honestly, I'm struggling to keep it together. After the confrontation, I left the house and stayed with a friend for a couple of days. It felt like my whole world had turned upside down. I went through so many emotions in the first 24 hours. The shock of it all was almost suffocating. I couldn't believe it. Melissa had betrayed me in the worst way possible, and I was just numb. At some point, I realized that I wasn't even angry anymore, just completely gutted. How had it come to this? When I got home, Melissa was still there. She hadn't packed anything, and the tension in the air was unbearable. She looked at me like she was waiting for me to say something, but I didn't know what to say. How could I even begin to talk to her? Everything felt fake now. The woman I trusted, loved, and shared my life with was someone I barely recognized. She tried talking to me, of course. She said all the right things: "I'm sorry, I don't want to lose you, please, we can fix this." But nothing she said felt real anymore. It felt like I was listening to someone who didn't even know who I was. She was just saying things to keep me in the picture, to keep me from walking away. But I'd heard all the lies before. The worst part? Social media. I know it sounds petty, but I had to see everything unfold in real time. I kept seeing her posts, photos of her with Chris, those damn smiling selfies, tagging each other like nothing had changed. It was a slap in the face. She didn't even try to hide it. I would scroll through my feed, and there they were, happy, carefree, no hint of guilt. It made me feel like an idiot for ever thinking I could trust her. I knew I couldn't stay in the same house with her anymore. The trust was gone, the foundation was shattered, and no matter how many times she begged or apologized, I couldn't get past it. I started looking for a place to stay. I didn't want to live in the same house as someone who could betray me like this, who could act so heartless. Melissa was still texting me every day, apologizing over and over. I'm not proud of this, but I ignored her for the most part. I didn't want to hear it anymore. She tried calling me a few times, leaving voicemails where she sobbed, telling me she didn't mean for things to go this far. She said she was confused and didn't know why she'd done it. But honestly, I didn't want to hear any more of her excuses. After a week, I finally found a place. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was mine, and that's all I needed. I packed my things, took one last look around the house we'd shared for years, and left. I had no idea what to do next. I didn't know if I wanted to fix things or if I could ever forgive her. Right now, I just needed space to breathe. But one thing was clear: I couldn't go back. Not after everything. So here I am, sitting in this small, unfamiliar apartment, trying to sort through everything. The first few days were surreal. It felt like I was living in someone else's life. I couldn't shake the feeling of emptiness. The house that had once felt like home was now just a memory, and now this tiny apartment felt like a prison. At night, I would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my mind. How had I not seen it coming? How could I have missed the signs? I know it's easy to say in hindsight, but I always thought Melissa and I were solid. We talked about our future, about getting old together. I believed in all of it. The loneliness hit me hard. I thought I'd be relieved, like I'd finally made the right decision to leave her. But instead, I felt isolated. I missed the idea of us. I missed the life we had. But then, I'd remind myself that the life I thought we had was built on lies. The reality hit me again, and the hurt was almost physical. I started to scroll through social media more than I should have. It was unhealthy, I know. But I couldn't help myself. Melissa kept posting about her time with Chris, how happy she was, how amazing things were. Each post was like a slap in the face. I saw her with him, all smiles, looking like everything was perfect. Meanwhile, I was stuck in this apartment, feeling like I had lost everything. It wasn't just the social media that stung, it was everything. The little things, like her favorite coffee mug still sitting in the kitchen, or her perfume that lingered in the clothes I hadn't fully unpacked. Every corner of this new place reminded me of her. And the worst part? I still had moments where I missed her, despite everything she'd done. The silence was deafening. I'd catch myself thinking about the times we laughed, the inside jokes, the nights we spent talking about our dreams. But then I'd remember the betrayal, and all of those memories felt tainted. For the first time, I started seeing a therapist. I didn't want to go, but my friends kept pushing me to, and honestly, I knew they were right. It's hard to talk to people you've known for years about this kind of thing without them looking at you with pity. So, I went. I didn't expect miracles, but it helped. It made me realize that I wasn't crazy. The feelings I had, anger, confusion, sadness, were all normal. One thing I learned from therapy is that healing isn't a straight line. There are good days, and there are bad days. And even though I missed her, I also started to realize that I deserved better. Melissa had made her choices. Now, I had to make mine. I started picking up new hobbies, things I'd never had the time for before. I took up cooking, which was a mess at first, but honestly, it felt good to focus on something new. I also reconnected with old friends I'd lost touch with over the years. It felt good to laugh again, to have conversations that weren't filled with doubt and insecurity. But every now and then, the thought would creep in. What if she actually wanted to fix things? But then I remembered the texts, the lies, the way she acted like I was crazy for asking questions. And that was enough to remind me that I made the right choice. Healing was slow, but it was happening. I didn't think I'd be writing another post so soon, but here I am. A lot has happened since my last update, and honestly, I'm still trying to process it all. About a week after I started getting settled into my new apartment, I received a text from Melissa. I didn't expect it, and to be honest, I wasn't sure how I should feel. The message was simple but jarring: "Can we talk?" My first instinct was to ignore it. I'd made the decision to move on, and after everything that had happened, I thought I had the closure I needed. But at the same time, I was curious. What could she possibly have to say? Was this some sort of manipulation? Was she coming to apologize, or was she just trying to make me feel guilty? I sat with the message for a while, unsure if I even wanted to engage with her. My heart was still raw, and as much as I tried to tell myself I was over it, part of me still wanted answers. I thought about it for a day, going back and forth. It wasn't like we were going to fix anything, right? The betrayal was too much. She was with Chris. She chose him over me. So why would I even listen to her now? But still, I was curious. And maybe a little part of me was hoping for some kind of closure. Eventually, I sent a reply: "Fine. We can talk. But only if you're being honest this time." She replied quickly: "I will be. I swear." We agreed to meet at a local cafe the next morning. The night before, I barely slept. I was torn. I told myself this was just for closure. I couldn't go back to the way things were. But deep down, I was still holding on to the idea of the marriage I thought we had. It was hard to shake that feeling. The next day, I met her at the cafe. When I saw her, I almost didn't recognize her. She looked the same, still beautiful, but her eyes, they were different. There was no sparkle, no warmth. It was like I was looking at a stranger. She greeted me with an awkward hug, and we sat down. The silence between us was heavy, uncomfortable. I could feel my chest tightening as I waited for her to say something. Finally, she spoke. "James, I know I messed up. I know I've hurt you. But I want you to know that I never wanted to lose you. It just happened. I don't know what I was thinking." I couldn't look at her. The words she was saying felt so rehearsed. Like she had practiced them in the mirror. "Melissa, don't. You don't get to just say that and expect everything to be okay. I'm not asking you to forgive me right now," she said, her voice cracking. "I just wanted to tell you that I was selfish. I didn't appreciate you. I took you for granted, and I thought I could have it all. I thought I could have my marriage and my fun on the side, and now I see how messed up that was. I ruined everything. I didn't know what to say. My heart wanted to believe her, but my brain was screaming that it was too late. The trust was gone. The love, the respect, it was all gone. The betrayal had cut too deep. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. James, I still love you. I know I don't deserve it, but I want a chance to make things right. Please, just tell me what I can do to fix this. I sat there, processing her words. A part of me wanted to give her a second chance, to believe that she was sorry and that she could change. But deep down, I knew the truth. I knew I couldn't keep living in a relationship where I was constantly questioning her loyalty, where the foundation had already cracked beyond repair. I looked at her and shook my head. It's too late, Melissa. You had your chance. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep living in the past, hoping for something that isn't there. You made your choices, and now I have to make mine. She stared at me, her face a mixture of disbelief and sorrow. James, please don't. Don't throw us away. But I knew. I was done. I didn't owe her anything anymore. I had to let go, no matter how much it hurt. I stood up and walked away, leaving her sitting there at that table. And as I left the cafe, I felt a strange sense of peace. It wasn't easy, but I knew it was the right decision. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I was moving forward. Thank you for watching. I ask you to help me. Subscribe to my channel, put likes, and do not forget to comment. Thank you. See you in another video.